go to our next speaker. She goes by the moniker of Conductor of Chaos as part of the Becoming the Better You group. She puts in a lot of work behind the scenes, and she is the, I guess you could say, the engine or motor that keeps Becoming the Better You going. She has put her heart and soul into the projects that Brenda works on and works with, and this tour and the last several years of her life. So I want you to give a warm round of applause for Kenya Mester. Go Kenya. Up top, around back.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Outstanding.
Woo! So, as he said, my name is Kenya. No, I was not born there. However, my mom had a relative who was a missionary in Kenya, Africa. And when she came back to the States, she told my mom all these stories of all the wonderful people she met, how beautiful the country was, and just all of the wild animals that were roaming in the savannah. And so my mom was about 15, and she decided that if she ever had a daughter, that she would be named Kenya. And so here I am. But the story that I'm going to tell you about today is how I was almost broken. And I almost didn't have the opportunity to go to my namesake country last year and make my debut on stage. How many of you have heard the phrase, "It's okay to not be okay"?
Amen. Yep.
How many of you have said it?
There you go.
I'm not sure exactly what the statistic is, but I'm almost certain that every one of us in this room is either directly affected or a friend or family member struggles with mental health. In my family, it is rampant. My grandmother was undiagnosed because back in the 60s and 70s, you didn't do that. You were hysterical, take a Valium, it's okay. My mother was misdiagnosed for many, many years, and it was discovered that she was bipolar. My brother is bipolar. And I myself suffered with postpartum depression with both of my older boys. And then, in 2020, I had to take it a step further. Now I know for many of us in this room, the year of 2020 was quite an interesting year. I'm sure that, like myself and my family, many of you had the rug just pulled right out from under you as you were making your plans to just kick 2020 in the butt. In fact, as 2020 started, in February, we launched our coaching practice. I published our website. We had our first Tribe Avocado networking event. And we had an amazing turnout. 2 weeks later, we had shut down. And as a personal note, I was supposed to meet my favorite person that does the voice of Ahsoka on Star Wars Clone Wars. I didn't get to meet her, but I did later. Now, everything's going as 2020 was, and then we get to Halloween. And the kids are in COVID school. That causes stress. And I'm working on something, and my husband comes into the room that I'm working in, and we end up having words. And I don't even remember the exact words that were said. What I do remember is that for whatever reason, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was like an entire flood just was unleashed as the dam was broken, and I could do nothing but days and days but cry. if my mind was not occupied with something that really took my attention, I just bawled. I just wept. And it really wasn't that big of a fight. It really wasn't that big of a deal. My husband didn't even remember we had words within hours of this conversation. Now fast forward to about the beginning of December. The holidays are coming up. We've gotten through Thanksgiving. And I have been spiraling farther and farther and farther. And at this point, I am staring into a dark, black pit of despair is the best way that I can describe my emotions at this time. And I realized that I was trying to figure out the best way to kill myself. That the record had gone from you screwed this thing up that you and your husband talked about to everyone would just be better if you were gone. And as I sat in my office at work and was contemplating how sharp the scissors in the cup next to me were, I had to make a decision to have a really hard conversation with my husband. I was still holding on to some very old beliefs of conversations that we had had 20 years ago when we had met in the small Illinois town that life coaches don't exist. You don't go to the doctor. That's for them folks. Well, I had to have a conversation and say, look, I don't care what your opinion of psychiatric professionals are. If you want me to be around, I need to go talk to somebody. And I could tell by the look on his face that asking him to share my burden, because that's something that people with depression do. We put on a smile. We fake it. People ask us how we are. And we say we're fine. We say we're great. And we smile. Because often, if you tell someone how you're really feeling, suddenly it gets awkward. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. And so we don't share that because we don't want to burden our friends and family with that pain. And as I looked at his face, I understood that whatever pain I was going to share with him was so much less than the pain that I would have caused him had I chosen to take a man.
That's right.
We love you.
I looked too sad. And so I did. I made an appointment. I reached out and I had to wait 3 months to get in to see somebody. Because everybody at that point in time was suffering from a lot more anxiety and different things, and they were exploring, hey, I got this time off, I'm gonna do this now. So 3 months, but I could see the glimmer of hope in that dark bit of despair as I counted down days to go. And when I finally got to go there, it was a lot of shame that I had to work through. Because as I'm getting emotional now telling the story, at that point in time, I was in crisis. I could do nothing but basically just weep as I tried to explain to them what I had been feeling. And now I really hope that although we all might say it's okay to not be okay, that none of you stay there.
Right. Yes.
if you become aware that you are not okay and you don't do anything about it, what's going to happen? Instead of having this hard conversation with your loved ones where you can do something about it and make a change, or are you just going to use it as an excuse to lie in bed and feel sorry for yourself? Because that's what my mother did. One of the things that I learned as I went to therapy was that this broken record that I often fought with for years and years and years, it has a name. It's called rumination. And rumination is when something is stuck in the emotional part of your brain and you cannot get out of it. And it just keeps saying those same terrible things over and over again. What my therapist taught me is that you need to make your brain do something logical. Remember how I said all I could do is sit and weep unless I was using a lot of my brain function? The brain function I was using when I stopped was that logical brain function. Because they have a hard time operating together. Now, her suggestion, she's like, sometimes I have people who have a lot of anxiety when they're driving. So instead of thinking about driving, they're counting yellow cars when they start getting stressed out. Because if you're looking for that, and then you've got to focus on driving too, you don't have all the extra to start getting stressed out. I personally do nines tables. So 1 times 9 is 9, 2 times 9 is 18, 3 times 9 is 27. And usually about the time that I get to 4 or 5, I've calmed down enough that I can make that record stop and I can move on. And tell myself that that's something silly, that's not true. And even if it had been true in the past, it is not true for me now. And I can move on and do something about whatever it is that's bothering me. So I want everybody to repeat with me. It's okay to not be okay.
It's okay to not be okay.
It's not okay to stay that way.
It's not okay to stay that way.
And I want you all to take that to heart. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go see a psychiatrist, a therapist. There are things that you can do for yourself. I know that working out for 30 minutes a day does great things. It makes your brain grow. It releases stress hormones. When I was in that pit of despair, I would work out once and then maybe go 2 or 3 weeks. So even though I knew it was a thing that would help me, I was beyond that point at that time. But that is a great place for people to start. Another thing that people can do is meditate. Now, I had a belief way in the past that meditation meant you just sit there and think about nothing. I have ADHD. That sounds terrible. Sitting for 5 minutes thinking about nothing, oh my God. But there are so many amazing guided meditations that you can find on YouTube. Some are a little bit more woo, some are a little bit more logical, so you can find something that fits you. Some of them are just affirmations. Some of them take you on a trip to go meet your spirit guides. What is it that is going to help you get centered? Find something, whether it's a male voice, a female voice. Some people talk in English accents. And if that is soothing to you, go find it.
Very nice. Very nice.
And so these are some of the things that I continue to use to help me stay grounded. And another thing is that I will admit I was prescribed medication. And I am still taking Wellbutrin now. It is great for me. I've heard a lot of people say that it is, they have a little allergic reaction, so that's terrible, I'm sorry. But it went from me sobbing uncontrollably for days at a time to like a flip of a switch where I almost had permagrin for about 3 days because I could finally feel joy and happiness and satisfaction instead of just staring down that black pit of despair. Now, we are going on this tour, and I'm hoping that the next round, I am going to get to see some of these faces again in the room the next time we come back to Omaha. So my hope for you is that if any of you are struggling, I guarantee that there is someone in this room that has had something similar to what you have gone through, what you felt, whether it's been getting trouble as a youth, whether it's struggling with mental illness, whether it's struggling with abuse, neglect. Somebody in this room has been there. And I really encourage you to get to know these other people and find somebody that you can talk to. Again, my name is Kenya Crafts, and I am so excited that you are here today, and I would love to meet and talk to any and all of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Kenya. I love watching people that are typically behind the scenes have the ability to shine in front of the scenes. That was fantastic. It was great to hear that story. Yes.